So, you want to learn bookkeeping. Special Journals. Lesson 7. By Dave Marshall. Earlier, we were introduced to worksheets, trial balances, adjusting and closing entries, and financial statements, basically what they look like and what information they contain. You may have heard the phrase closing the books. Now, we are going to put the pieces together: the records used, what they're used for, how to prepare the records, and the steps taken in order to formally close our books. So in order to close the books and prepare financial statements, we need to make sure that all our transactions have been entered in our special journals. All the amounts entered in the special journals have been posted to the general ledger accounts. General ledger SUSI diary records have been posted and updated and agree with the general ledger control accounts. Any transactions requiring an adjustery entry have been identified. Use our worksheets, trial balances, to enter our general ledger account balances and adjusting and closing entries. Prepare our financial statements. Enter our adjusting and closing entries in the general journal and then post the amounts to the general ledger. You should realize that with a manual accounting system you cannot prepare accurate financial statements at any time you want to. You have to wait until all your bookkeeping records have been posted. Since most amounts are only posted from the special journals to the general ledger at the end of an accounting period, normally monthly, this means after the end of a period or month. If you use accounting and bookkeeping software, you can prepare financial statements and other reports with a push of a button anytime you want. Yeah, I do recommend using accounting and bookkeeping software. What is a trial balance? A worksheet listing of all the accounts appearing in the general ledger with the dollar amount of the debit or credit balance of each. Where do we get the information needed to prepare our trial balance? Hopefully, you said from our general ledger accounts. What purpose does a trial balance serve? It provides proof that the total balance of our general ledger debit accounts equal the total balance of our general ledger credit accounts. In other words, total debits and credits are equal. It does not prove that there were no errors made recording the transactions. Wrong amounts and wrong accounts could have been used in entering the transactions. Preparing an adjusted trial balance. Where do we get the information needed to prepare our adjusted trial balance? Our trial balance worksheet. We start with the information from our trial balance and then enter our adjusting entries, debits and credits, and add or subtract the amounts to arrive at our adjusted trial balance amounts. Preparing an after-closing trial balance. After you prepare your adjusted trial balance, we transfer these balances to our after-closing trial balance worksheet. We then enter our closing entries and add or subtract the debit and credit amounts to arrive at our after-closing trial balance amounts. Steps in closing our books. Close drawing account to capital account. Close all revenue and expense accounts to income summary account. Close income summary account to capital account. Calculate our after-closing trial balance amounts. This column is calculated by taking the balance in our adjusted trial balance column and adding or subtracting the debit and or credit closing entry adjustments in our closing entry column to arrive at our after-closing trial balance amount. Prepare an income statement. All the information that we need to prepare our income statement is found in the revenue and expense accounts section of our after-closing trial balance worksheet. All we need to do is transfer all the figures from our worksheet to our formal income statement. Just sum the revenues and subtract the cost of goods sold and operating expenses to arrive at the net income loss amount. This is the amount that is transferred closed to the owner's capital account with a closing entry. Prepare a capital statement. All this statement does is show what caused the change in the owner's capital account for the year. All the information needed to prepare this statement is contained in the owner's capital account in our after-closing trial balance worksheet. Prepare a balance sheet. All the information that we need to prepare our balance sheet is found in the balance sheet area of our after-closing trial balance worksheet. All we need to do is transfer all the figures from the after-closing trial balance column to our formal balance sheet. It's really quite simple. After all our closing entries have been posted, the only accounts that have a balance are our balance sheet accounts: assets, liabilities, and equity. Of course, as you already know, the balance sheet is only made up of the asset, liability, and equity accounts. General Journal, the finishing touches. Hang tight, we've almost completed closing our books. Just a few more tasks. We've been using worksheets as an aid for closing our books and recording our adjusting and closing entries in these worksheets. It's time to use this information to prepare and record these entries in our formal general journal and post our general journal entries to our formal general ledger and any subsidiary ledgers. Where do we get the information for preparing the formal journal entries for our adjusting entries? Would you believe our adjusted trial balance worksheet? Where do we get the information for preparing the formal journal entries for our closing entries? Would you believe the same place our after closing trial balance worksheet? Congratulations. Believe it or not, we've come to the end of our journey. Hopefully, you learned a lot. Well, at least a little.